ever been exploring in glades of emerald green? Lost yourself in the wonder of a world yet unseen. Felt the thrill of the unknown knocking on your door. Have you ever been exploring? Would you care to once more? Let's go on an adventure, adventure, adventure. We can go anywhere. Let's go on an adventure, adventure, adventure. If you dare. If you could be anyone, if you could be anything, who would you be? Without restrictions, without traditions, endless possibility. Who are we now? What can we see? Let's go on an adventure, explore the world with me. Have you ever lost your bearings in a world you didn't know? And let yourself just wander, wander wherever you might go. Felt the fear of never knowing, and yet set it aside. Have you ever left your bearings? Would you care to join the ride? Let's go on an adventure, adventure, adventure. We can go anywhere. Let's go on an adventure, adventure, adventure. If you dare. If you could be anyone, if you could be anything, who would you be? Without restrictions, without traditions, endless possibility. Who are we now? What can we see? Let's go on an adventure, explore the world with me. Let's go on an adventure, explore the world with me.
Good morning. Meridian, it's so exciting to have you back with us while you're on break. Good morning and welcome to the Boulder Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Welcome to those of you both in person and on Zoom today. Thanks for braving the cold, those of you who are here. I am Rachel Setsky. My pronouns are she and her. I am joined today by Service Associates Clara Kelly and Karen Griglak. Tad Ukoriath, our music director, Meridian Mensch, and Amy Austin are providing music today. And our tech team is Herb Axe, Mary Stackpole, and Dawn Price. And of course, you. You are the ones who make this a beloved community. I invite those of you on Zoom to shift into gallery mode if you haven't already done so, and scroll through the screens so that you can experience the beauty of this congregation. Those in person, look around and see who you can recognize beneath your masks. You are welcome here today. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, skin tones, shapes, and sizes that come together in your uniqueness, you are welcome here. In all the ways you experience and express gender, you are welcome here. In the beauty that is who you love and how you love, you are welcome here. In all the ways you make your living and the places you are from, you are welcome here. With all the traditions that inform your spiritual life, you are welcome here today. No matter how long you are away, nor how soon you will return, you are welcome here. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. You are invited to join us with open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. We welcome you today. We acknowledge that the land surrounding us is the stolen territory of the Arapaho people, and that many native people roamed freely on this land for millennia before the arrival of white settlers. We commit ourselves to being a center for spiritual exploration and justice-making, and to anti-racism and anti-oppression work within and beyond our congregation. If you are new here, we are glad you found us, and hope that this community, whether you're in person or virtual, you can experience the warmth and love of this congregation. Each Sunday is different here, so please come back a few times to really get to know us. We have many opportunities during the week for social connection and spiritual growth. Those on Zoom can check out the links in the chat to help you get connected. Those of you in person can find our newcomer form on the QR code in the back of your hymnal, or stop by the welcome table in the foyer to get connected. Everyone on Zoom is welcome to stay for casual conversation following the service, or those in person may attend the Inquirers series, which starts about 15 minutes following the end of the service here in the sanctuary. If you are here in person today, you are welcome to join us for coffee hour in the fellowship hall following the service. We are community-minded when it comes to COVID. To be inclusive of our immunocompromised or vulnerable populations, we offer at least one worship opportunity per month where masks are required. This is that service. We ask that you keep your masks on while in the sanctuary this morning, even while singing. And as a reminder, those of us service participants who have taken off our masks have tested negative this morning for COVID. Finally, if any new visitors on Zoom would like to introduce yourselves in the chat, please do. We'd love to know who you are and that you're with us. Those of you in the sanctuary, please take a moment to greet your neighbors. Now, if you'll join us for our chalice lighting. If you have a chalice at home, you can light it now. Clara lights our fellowship chalice. We ask that if you are online and light a chalice, that you please write in the chat, chalice lit, and the name of your town, so we know who all is joining us. Please say the words along with me. We light this chalice for the warmth of love, the light of truth, and the energy of action. And I will sing our bowl one more time, inviting it to draw you deeper into the present moment and this, our beloved community.
Today's theme matters to my family because we embrace a wide spectrum of gender identities and pronouns. Why do so many find it hard to use they/them pronouns? I think it's not just about language. Those pronouns dissolve the traditional division of humanity into male and female. We may find that threatening because we build so much of our sense of social order on binary opposites and clear-cut boundaries. They give us a comforting sense of stability in our fast-changing world. If we look in the mirror honestly enough, we are likely to recognize that all of us have boundary lines we don't want to give up. The blurring of those lines becomes disturbing, perhaps intolerable. Maybe that's why many of us are uncomfortable, not just with new language, but with non-binary and transgender people and drag queens themselves. They show us the boundary between male and female, which used to feel immutable, disappears before our very eyes. Boundary lines may comfort us, but these all too easily create hierarchies of better and worse, all too often fueling injustice, oppression, and violence. The quest for order can become a license to suppress and even ultimately eliminate those people on the other side of the line. Accepting non-binary language is a way of embracing non-binary and transgender people and drag queens, not merely to tolerate them or to support their safety and their rights, but to appreciate how they enrich life for all of us. As Walt Whitman said, there are, quote, two main constituents for a truly grand nationality. First, a large variety of character, and second, full play for human nature to expand itself in numberless and even conflicting directions, unquote. I'm proud of all my children, including Angel, the non-binary drag queen. I will be equally proud when enough of us speak out strongly for making a better society by tearing down the old gender boundaries. Let us see those who blend the gender lines as models for a truly free society where we don't feel compelled to fit ourselves into narrow binary categories, where everyone can accept themselves and explore who we really are, safely and without shame.
Good morning. We are going to sing together hymn 1074 in the Teal hymnal. And as you're getting your hymnals out, and also if you're on Zoom, you'll have the lyrics in the chat. I want to just say a couple things about this song. First, this song is going to ground us in our origins of fire and water and earth, and then ask an important question. Do I know who you are? Do you know who I am? And in the light of the theme of our service today, we cannot always see exactly what a person identifies with or is in just a minute. So it's about being open to all of the possibilities. So again, Teal Hymnal 1074, would you rise or sit as you feel called? We come from the fire, living in the fire. Go back to the fire, turn the world around. We come from the water, living in the water. Go back to the water, turn the world around. We come from the mountain, living on the mountain. Go back to the mountain, turn the world around. Whoa, so is life. So is life. Whoa, so is life. So is life. Do you know who I am? Do I know who you are? See we one another
get you going like Harry Belafonte, I'll tell you that. Whew. I just want to say that we didn't have an attribution on the video, but that was our member Kathy Partridge speaking. Actually, I believe reading words that their partner Ira had written. So, just so you know what that's about. Last season's fruit is eaten, and the full-fed beast shall kick the empty pail. For last year's words belong to last year's language, and next year's words await another voice. But as the passage now presents no hindrance to the spirit unappeased and peregrine between two worlds become much like the other, so I find words I never thought to speak, in streets I never thought I should revisit, when I left my body on a distant shore. T.S. Eliot, Little Gidding. Next year's words await another voice. Well, here we are in 2023. What are the words that we'll center ourselves upon this year? What words that we never thought to speak in streets we never thought we should revisit? Some of the most powerful words in our culture and our world today are the pronouns by which people identify themselves. As Cesar Chavez said, our language is the reflection of ourselves. A language is an exact reflection of the character and growth of its speakers. What are our words saying about how we've grown and who we're becoming? How can we make room for everyone with our language? How can we use our words to reflect the welcoming and compassionate character we strive to build here in our beloved community? Well, as a teacher, I've been challenged over the past few years to change how I address groups of students. As recently as a few years ago, it was common to address classes with epithets like ladies and gentlemen, or boys and girls. Ask any teacher today if they still use that language, and you'll hear that most do not. We're aiming to be more inclusive in our speech. These days, I tend to use things like, hey everyone, students, or hello friends, or various other non-gendered greetings. I do this not because I always know for certain that there are non-binary students in my class, but because one truly never knows. As an English teacher in particular, I've noticed people's reticence around using they for a singular person. It's true that many of us were taught that usage was incorrect, or that one should say he or she. I'll say it's a lot easier to say they than he or she. But again, as an English teacher who took some seriously deep grammar courses in college, what I learned about grammar is there are two ways to view grammar rules. They can be considered prescriptive or descriptive. Okay, track with me now. This is college-level English. You can do it, though. If one takes a prescriptive view of grammar, then one believes that language is a set of rules to be followed rigidly. There's no room in prescriptive grammar for slang usage. There ain't any room for that. Or for AAVE, African American Vernacular English, despite the beauty and power contained there. Prescriptive grammar is all about what is deemed correct by those in power. Descriptive grammar, however, takes the view that grammar exists to describe how we use language. Descriptive grammar has room for all kinds of beautiful usages, new and ancient alike. And speaking of ancient, did you know that the Oxford English Dictionary traces back the use of the singular they to the year 1375? It is not new. It feels new, but it's not. And if you think about it, you already use it. Imagine this. Lydia makes an announcement from the pulpit. Whoever lost their keys in the foyer, you should know your keys are at the welcome desk. Lydia didn't know the gender of the person who lost their keys, so used their, whoever lost their keys, despite it likely only being one person, right? We use it all the time. I think what gives people pause is using they for someone whose gender they think they already know. We make that guess a lot. Our brains just do it. We're attuned to do it. However, we're not right all the time. Yeah? And that's normal. Our society teaches us to assume people's gender by how they dress and by the shape of their bodies, but limiting words belong to last year's language. We can't, and we shouldn't, try to guess someone's gender anymore. We just gotta quit. There we go. And when someone asks us to call them they, them, they're giving us a chance to truly see them as they are and accept them and celebrate them and love them. And luckily, this year's language lets us do that. I absolutely adore it when people invite me to really see and celebrate them, so I do my best to use the pronouns I've been asked to use for others. Just as I'm grateful that they use the pronouns I have asked them to use for me. It's a golden rule kind of situation. And in those situations, I like to stick with the most loving reply I can make to honor their pronouns, to honor them.
I am not tall. Each week, we remind ourselves of the abundance of our lives and of this community by giving half of our plate away to those organizations that share our values. Today, the half plate is for the Gilbert Social Justice Fund, which was named after former Minister Rudy Gilbert. This is a social justice fund that is used by our Social Justice Council for our community outreach. Some of the activities that have been funded are the Posadas Gathering for the Colorado Statewide Parent Coalition and assistance for local parents in the education of their children. Future projects include support for a local event about the Henizaro and to support an event in September of this year at Fort Garland, highlighting the Henizaro, who are descendants from 5 tribes whose ancestors were captured by other tribes and sold as slaves, predominantly to the Spanish. You can text your donation at the number on the screen, or if you're in the fellowship today, place a donation in the offering plate as it passes. Please give as generously as you are able, as you so often do. And as our musical reflection begins, we invite you, both here in the sanctuary and on Zoom, to reflect on this following question. Think of a time that you felt truly at home in your gender expression and what made you feel that way. And if you're on Zoom, feel free to share that answer with us in the chat. For the work of this fellowship, bringing love, reason, compassion, and justice to this world, and for the Gilbert Social Justice Fund, we dedicate our offerings.
A relative recently told me that her 5-year-old had finally learned to distinguish between boys and girls and to correctly refer to people by their assigned gender. This comment was an explanation of why their family would not be telling their child that my oldest child does not identify as either a boy or a girl. Rather, they identify as gender nonconforming or gender non-binary. I am 45 years old, and while I do realize there are more genders than just male or female binary, I am having to teach myself not to assume a person's gender identity, just as I have learned already not to assume a person's racial identity or sexual orientation. We are all taught about gender from an early age. My education started when my mom attended Equal Rights Amendment meetings when she was pregnant with me. My baby boomer mom, who had earned a computer science degree in the 1960s and became a CPA while I was in elementary school, made it clear that my brother and my genders did not define who we were or what we could do. When I took a college course called Educating Girls, I learned that some of my female-identifying classmates had been explicitly taught that girls could not do math or science. How, I wondered, could people be so ignorant about genders that in the 1990s, students in our country were still being taught that gender dictated who or what someone could do or be? Another formative college class, Sociology of Sex and Gender, helped me to understand more of my own ignorance. In that class, I learned that gender, like race and class, are social constructs and defined by different cultures and experienced in different cultures different ways. They are labels that are created by the dominant culture to maintain a certain order and to ensure that the dominant group stays dominant. I learned that language, including the use of pronouns, is a major tool used to enforce these labels. When I was taught grammar and writing, like Clara was talking about, it was drilled into me that the single pronoun was he or she. Often in the past, the universal default in our culture was only he, leaving out the possibility of anyone of any other gender as being the actor in a sentence. Today, the APA, which is the academic standard for grammar in social sciences, explicitly states that writers should use the singular they in two main cases. One, when referring to a generic person whose gender is unknown or irrelevant to the context. And two, when referring to a specific known person who uses they as their pronoun. My learning journey continued one afternoon when I sat in our old religious education wing. Our dear Director of Religious Ed, Katie Covey, explained to me about people who do not identify by a single male-female binary gender, and about the pronouns, including zim, zzer, and they, them. As I got more involved with fellowship groups and started directing our day camp, I met more and more people who used non-binary pronouns. Allowing myself to learn this new to me practice of pronouns outside of he and she further opened my eyes to the beautiful diversity of people throughout our community and the larger world. I have found that once I got past my learned binary hang-ups, using non-binary pronouns has become easier and easier the more people I meet who use these pronouns. It can still be a little challenging to relearn a person's pronoun when I think I know their pronoun already, and then I'm asked to use something different. When I catch myself using the wrong word, or am reminded that I have just done so, I quickly correct myself to reinforce the proper pronoun in my own mind, and to acknowledge both my mistake and my effort to correct it and to respect the individual. For example, if I erroneously use she instead of they to describe my child's good friend, I would say, are they coming over for dinner? And then we move on with the rest of our conversation as usual. In October of 2020, my gender education journey got super personal when my oldest kiddo came out to me as gender nonconforming or gender non-binary, and asked that I use the pronouns they, them when referring to them. Why they came to this decision is their story to tell, or not, as they choose. But I'll be honest, I had all sorts of reactions to this news. I felt a sense of loss because Liliana is no longer my daughter, but they are still my amazing kiddo. I felt frustrated and a little angry that I had to learn a new language habit. I felt proud for Liliana for speaking up about who they are. And I felt so very grateful that they felt comfortable sharing this part of themselves with me. I felt, and I still feel, anywhere between irritated and privileged to educate and advocate on behalf of my kiddo and others who use non-binary pronouns. My level of irritation versus privilege depends entirely on the response of the person with whom I am discussing gender and pronouns. Let me give a few examples. The most welcome response people give when I say my oldest kid is gender nonconforming or gender non-binary is along the lines of, short version, got it. Long version, thanks for telling me. I'll do my best to get it right. Please correct me when I mess up, because we're human and we do mess up. Just like learning music or a new language, when we make a mistake, we correct ourselves quickly and move on. I also welcome genuine questions from people trying to better understand non-binary gender pronouns. Responses that have given me pause include a family friend who said, okay, they're non-binary. Will they still wear dresses? My response is, well, probably. They're Liliana, and they still love to sew and wear dresses. So, yeah. A question I got from someone I'd just met, non-binary, but are they really a boy or a girl? My verbal answer was, they're neither, they're non-binary. My internal response was, ew. You effectively just asked me about my child's genitalia, and that is so not okay. The most frustrating responses include being ignored or challenged about the need for any gender pronoun outside the binary, being challenged on grammatical correctness of they, used in singular, which Clara and I have already shared some responses to. The response I'll close with is this. Is this a phase? My answer is, of course, because life is a collection of phases. Some last the length of time it takes us to grow out a haircut. Some last for decades or even our whole lives. As our youth learn in coming of age, who we are and how we identify flows as we experience life. On July 22nd, 2006, I entered a new phase of life, that of mom. For me, part of identifying as mom is to respect my kids, to try to embrace their exploration of their own identities, to offer them encouragement and a safe place to be who they are, and to trust that we'll help each other learn new things along our journeys together. My role as human and member of this beloved community asks me, and all of us, to do the same things: respect, explore, encourage, and learn together.
And now I invite us into our time of community connection, our time of sacred sharing. If you're on Zoom and you'd like to share a joy or a concern, please go ahead and type that into the chat window, sending it to everyone, and let us know briefly what's in your heart today. I will read out loud what you share, and Rachel will add a stone to our sacred waters on your behalf. If you're in the sanctuary today, you can come up front, share your joy or concern using the microphone, and add a stone to the waters. Or you can add a stone in silence. Just a reminder, please keep your mask on when sharing this morning. Wherever you are, please tell us your name and where you live when you share. I'd like Rachel to add our first stone in memory of Tyree Nichols, killed senselessly by police officers in Memphis, Tennessee this week. And our second stone in concern for the myriad of anti-trans legislation that were passed in so many states this week. All right, if you guys have some to add, now's your time. My prayer for us today comes from our gray hymnal, number 505. You don't have to look at it, but you can if you want. This is a prayer by Thich Nhat Hanh. Let us be at peace with our bodies and our minds. Let us return to ourselves and become holy ourselves. Let us be aware of the source of being common to all of us and all living things. Evoking the presence of the great compassion, let us fill our hearts with our own compassion towards ourselves and all living beings. Let us pray that we ourselves cease to be the cause of suffering to each other. With humility, with awareness of the existence of life and of the sufferings that are going on around us, let us practice the establishment of peace in our hearts and on the earth. Amen.
We're going to sing hymn 1031 again in the Teal hymnal. This is based on a traditional Buddhist meditation where we wish ourselves and those around us, close and larger community, that we be filled with loving kindness and peace. If you would like to stand, number 1031 in the Teal hymnal, filled with loving kindness. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful. filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be well. Announcements. If you would like to add your pronouns to your name tag, what a great day for that, huh? Or talk about gender pronouns after the service, Rachel and I will be in the fellowship hall. We'd be happy to help you do that. Inquirer series. Today we'll have an introduction to the Worship in the Arts Council, which guides our Sunday and other worship services, from service associates to music, audiovisual technology, aesthetics, everything you see happening in the sanctuary, right? Or here. The Inquirers class is here in the sanctuary at 11:30, so go get a snack, munch, come back and hear more about it. If you're new, or even if you've been here a while and you want to know what they do, please join them today for more information or stay on the Zoom meeting. We're not doing the Zoom meeting part of it. Never mind. If you're on the Zoom, sorry. You cannot so much go to that. What's that? Oh, it says 11:30, but I bet it's 15 minutes after we're done. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, get a snack for 15 minutes. Come on back in here. That's not going to be 11:30 because we were like on it today with the timing. So thank you. But yes, but not on Zoom. But if you're here in person, we'd love to have you. Next week's Inquirers class will be about caring counsel, also something worthy of your attention. Today, January 29th, we're having a brunch for our newly sort of reforming 20s and 30s social group. By the way, I'm going and I'm 42, so I don't know. Age is just a construct. If you're a parent or you're a young-ish person, if you feel young in this congregation, you should come. Yeah. We're meeting at 11:30 in the fellowship hall. Food and childcare provided. Yeah. Okay. Next Saturday, guys, we're finally getting back to having Meeting of the Minds. So exciting. It's been forever. We're going to do it again. We're going to have some fun. I know, weird, but we're going to try and have fun from noon to 3. For our mid-year congregational meeting, it's an all-ages gathering. There'll be a potluck lunch, music, information about exciting activities at the fellowship, a visioning project for the future. Great opportunities to connect with each other. You will not want to miss it. It's always a blast. Oh, it's going to be the highlight of the snowy season. I like that. Look for more details coming soon. You probably already got an email to RSVP to it, but if you haven't, check your email and RSVP. They need to know how many people are coming for food purposes and all. So take a look at that. Oh, also the RSVP link is heading into the chat. So if you're over Zoom, click that link in RSVP. We'd love to have you. If you have questions about that, please talk to Christiane Olivo. Is Christiane here? Yes, there she is. So if you're any questions about that, please talk to her. And her email is also in the Zoom chat if you need to email her about what's happening. All right, I think we're ready to. The one before it, this Tuesday. It may not be there. Tuesday. I don't have one about this Tuesday. There you go. Oh. Yeah, I don't have that. Cool. This Tuesday evening, on January 31st at 7 p.m., we're hosting the multi-faith Dr. Martin Luther King celebration that was canceled. Remember how we had to cancel that because the weather was really bad? We're doing it, and it's going to be here. The Heritage Choir, which is made up of members from BVUUF, but also First United Methodist and Second Baptist, will sing, and Reverend Glenda Robinson from Second Baptist, who marched with Dr. King, will be here to bring us a message. I hope lots of you will come and enjoy the celebration and honor our relationship with Second Baptist. Okay, I think I got all the announcements now. Oh, Christiane?
Oh, meeting of the minds, yes. We'll be over Zoom and in person. So if you can't come in person, which I can't because I'm getting my oil changed, but I will be with you over the Zoom, and even presenting from Zoom, possibly from the place where I'm getting my oil changed. It's going to be so much fun. You should come, even if it's not in person. We'd love to have you. Okay, think we're ready to extinguish.
On? Okay. Please join us as we say our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish the chalice, but not the warmth of love, the light of truth, or the energy of action. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. We close today with the words of award-winning author Ivan Coyote. So here it is. My friends call me he or they. The government and most of my family still call me she. The media calls me she because I don't trust them enough to request that they do anything else. My lovers call me sweetheart or baby. Somewhere in all of that, I find myself. Let us go forth to embrace the language of today, so that we can find ourselves, and so that we can build a just and compassionate world for people of all genders, by honoring the identities of those who trust us enough to invite us to use the pronouns and language that is true to them. Let it be so.